Hi everybody, my name is Ann Fearbaugh, and today I am going to propose to you a student support model for Virginia Commonwealth University, also known as VCU. I chose this school because it's located in my hometown of Richmond, Virginia, and I also chose it because a third of their students are first generation, and over half of the overall students are receiving financial aid. These two factors will play into my proposal, or tie into it. So let's get started. So here's a quick snapshot of what we will be covering today. We will start with the executive summary and then go into details of that summary using the BLUF, if I'm saying that right, model. We'll then jump into VCU current student affair details and data before we head into the future proposed plan. We will finish with a Q&A and my references. So just a quick statement of the purpose of this meeting. It's to ground everyone on what the current strategic plan is for VCU Student Affairs team and then offer a proposal for future strategy. So I'm going to discuss the current school standings. That's going to include the VCU Student Affairs strategic plan and then their data on current students. This will also include their 5 goals. And then the proposed plan, which will be talking through my mission to increase freshman retention rates by planning a series of freshman essential services that target at-risk students. And we'll talk through those services and the outcomes that come from those services. So starting with our BLUF model. So freshman students are always at risk of dropping out during or after their first year in college. Layer in freshmen that come from low socioeconomic backgrounds or first generation students, and the risk increases. VCU is above the national average for freshman retention rates. They're currently at 86% versus the 72% national average. However, that means that 14% of VCU's freshman class, which is approximately 736 students, will not make it to their second year of college. Equally important is that 33% of their freshman class are first generation students. So that's approximately 1,500 students are first generation students. There's some debate over equality versus equity when it comes to supporting affirmative action. Do these terms matter when implementing a student affairs strategic plan? I believe they do, and I believe that there is still an achievement gap among this at-risk population. And to promote equality as well as equity, we need to offer additional services to certain demographics. In 1975, roughly 33% of students came from a low socioeconomic background, and by 2010, that percentage had risen to 52%. So these increases were driven by federal policy efforts to diminish inequality and give all students access to higher education. And while these policies help drive equality, our institutions need to build on that equality by creating a system to promote equity. To help explain equity, Mann asks, should per student funding at every school be exactly the same? That's a question of equality. But should students who come from less get more in order to ensure that they can catch up? That's a question of equity. So in order to close the achievement gap, schools must understand that often students of low socioeconomic standing and diverse students require more resources to catch up to their peers to succeed. So my proposal will be aimed at offering extra services to help students feel supported on their campus, and this will engage them to stay. So student affairs today, where do we stand today? So if you take a quick look, this is actually pulled from the VCU website. Their student affairs department has a PDF on a strategic division plan. This plan lists 5 goals. It also lists their mission and their values. So their mission is through their program, services, and facilities, the Division of Student Affairs at Virginia Commonwealth University will champion holistic student development by fostering inclusive communities and providing dynamic, integrative learning experiences that prepare our students to be thoughtfully engaged contributors to the global community. Their vision would be to educate students to become innovative, courageous, and socially engaged leaders. And their values are to foster a community committed to excellence by upholding values that promote student success, diversity, integrity, wellness, and community. So, in the strategic plan, they had 5 goals listed in their outcomes and what they hope the learner achieves. And those 5 goals are centered around the following topics. They had wellness, diversity and inclusion, leadership, safety, and staff services. And while I commend all of these and think all of these goals are wonderful, I am going to challenge you all to be thinking from more a student-centered approach and how we can really connect to students from an academic and social level. So what's going on with the school today? Where do we stand? So VCU freshman retention rate is actually really good against the national average. So 86% of freshmen stay to go on to a second year. So VCU is one of the best in the country when it comes to freshman retention rate because the national average is 72%. However, overall, only 60% of VCU undergrads finish within 6 years. So even though they're staying on for 2, it's taking we end up losing 40% altogether by the time graduation happens because there's 60% graduate in 6 years. You add an additional 2 years and it's up to 63%, but we're still missing a good 36% of those freshmen that are not reported to have finished school. So let's keep moving on. I'm having trouble with my mouse. I apologize for the delay. Here we go. All right, some more data. What's going on in terms of the financial structure and our social economic status of our students? So, according to the data that I pulled from collegefactual.com, 46% of freshmen have student loans, 54% have grants and scholarships. Says that 16,903 is the typical VCU freshman's financial plan, and around 69% of incoming students obtain some kind of financial assistance. The amount of financial aid by income level is also listed, and what percentage are freshmen. So it's about 11% of those freshmen are taking out more than $15,000, and their parents' income level is less than 30K. And then in terms of diversity, VCU is ranked 185 in the ethnic diversity nationwide, with a student body composition that's far above the national average. And also the ethnic diversity of the faculty is also above average. All right, now we're going to move into the proposed strategic plan. And so something to think about is what responsibility does our institution have for promoting student engagement and retention? According to CARP, college success requires more than the ability to master college level academic skills. Students must learn to navigate an unfamiliar campus, satisfy bureaucratic requirements, meet new expectations, and engage in new types of interpersonal relationships. This can be really tough for vulnerable students that are more likely to encounter difficult situations in understanding college expectations. So if we focus on students from a lower socioeconomic status and diverse background, there is a need for institutions to hold themselves accountable in creating a plan for that institution, as well as help their students create a plan for themselves. So in my proposed strategic plan, I plan to target freshmen, all freshmen, but focus on low SES, first generation diverse background freshmen. These students are more at risk than their counterparts. So if we focus on the at risk, we are throwing a larger safety net out there. And with that larger safety net, it will also catch the low risk students as well. My proposal states that we'll create a series of essential services that are targeted at freshmen that are at risk with the hopes of the outcome that we improve our retention rates. Because I believe in order to close the achievement gap, schools must understand that often students of low SES and diverse students require more resources to catch up to their peers and succeed. So let's take a look at my list of our proposed strategic plan. So the first service that I propose in my plan is the Enrollment Management Program. So this will be a team of student affairs folks that will help be proactive and identify at-risk students. So we already have most of the data that we need because students provide tons of information on their background when they submit their applications to the admissions process. There's also these systems called EAS or early alert systems that are becoming popular, and VCU can adapt this, and this can help with data. So basically, schools need to access the data that we already have and use it to create a successful plan for students to make them feel included in the school environment. So the details on this would be just a proactive approach, at-risk identification, and using the federal TRIO program. And the outcomes will be designed for early detection of at-risk behavior with the objective to support initiatives aimed at improving student retention. The next proposed service within the strategic plan would be the freshman orientation and first year experience program. So it's kind of all encompassing. I think this would be one unit where orientation would then just carry on through the entire first year of college. So this would be a requirement and it would be count towards course credits. The difference is that these courses will be free. I think paying that cost up front by the college and not getting that financial income from the students may seem like we're losing money, but I think it will help us gain money in the long run by not having as high of retention rates. And so these courses would address areas that students where the students are most vulnerable. So this is designed to first educate the students on campus and life survival skills. The next one would be non-academic support programs. These will include services that are not necessarily school related, but help their basic needs. For example, having on-campus daycare for students that have children, or having a food pantry for students that are having trouble with their groceries, different little things that they can do. So these are just extra support for students so that they can focus on their studies and not the stresses of everyday life. The next one is the campus activity programs. This would be an approach to bring people together through encouragement and an active involvement with student life. And the outcome for this would be designed to promote student engagement and student learning by helping them engage actively in campus life. Some background on that. So Tinto builds on Aston's involvement theory, and he suggests that a student's persistence in college is in relation to their interaction with their college setting, and more specifically, that the two domains, academic and social, equally important is equally important. These social and academic interactions can be influenced by the background characteristics and individual attributes the student brings with them into their college experience. So this needs to be taken into consideration by student affairs when planning resources because this suggests that there may be a need for students to receive specialized attention here. The next one is co-curricular support program. So creating courses that amplify required courses and offering them in a blended learning environment. With the hopes of the outcome that this will increase the ability to understand the connection between these courses and their required courses. The next one is parent and family programs. So this will be a program that sponsors sessions during orientation to the families of the student and provide resources and information to stay engaged. Again, first year generation students actually have some challenges just by being a first generation. First semester of college can be hard, and a lot of times people might get a low grade on their first test or first semester while they're trying to navigate it. A second generation or third generation college student might call home and be like, oh, wow, I really bombed that, or I did really bad on the paper. I wasn't expecting that. And since their parents have been through college, they're going to say, it's okay. You're going to get used to it. It's not a big deal. A first generation student doesn't have that support at home because their parents don't understand the college experience. So they may call home, and because they're at school, it could be a financial burden on their family already. And the parent might respond with, see, this probably isn't a good idea. Why don't you just come home? So things like that, really getting the family engaged, especially for those families that have not attended college themselves and help them understand. So this outcome we're hoping is designed to collaborate with those stakeholders so that to support student success and promote learning and development, getting the families on board to help support their children, our students. And then lastly, I always feel like a feedback loop is necessary in all aspects of life. So I do think any strategic plan needs an assessment program. That way we can track progress, research, and evaluate what's going well and what's not working. And the outcome of this is the ability to make data-driven decisions that are important. So that concludes my strategic proposed plan on um, offering student services that are tied to low income students or at risk students, first generation. And I hope you enjoyed it. And this would take us into our Q&A session if we were live, but we're not. And then lastly, here are a list of my references that I used during my research. Thanks again for listening.